If you're interested to see on how one of the most infamous broken Smash Bros characters of all time was changed from Brawl to Project Plus, you're in the right place. I would say PM&P Plus took an interesting route in balancing one of the most meta-defining characters of all time. Sure, he's currently #1 in both games, but in this video you'll see why and how he changed. In Super Smash Bros. Brawl, there is no other character as busted as Brawl Meta Knight. He's so good he's literally ranked in his own tier in the SS tier. The only Smash character to be ranked in the SS tier ever. And not only that, Brawl Meta Knight is the only character to make an entire Smash game's meta revolve around himself. Yes, there are a lot of puns there. A big part of how good you're going to be in Brawl is actually based on your Meta Knight matchup spread. It's that important. And that's why tournaments were cracking down and even trying to ban the character. Well, here's why. He doesn't have a single losing matchup. Meta Knight's first off has moves with very low amounts of startup and end lag, and he has high amounts of range because he has a sword. A lot of his moves have also priority, which means if you clash with Meta Knight's attacks, his will straight up be yours. His recovery is probably one of the best recoveries in the whole series, as he has a total of 5 mid-air jumps and even every single special move that can be used as a recovery tool. Yes, every single special move, you heard me right, is a recovery tool. Neutral B, side B, down B, up B, they all help him get back on stage. In fact, that would be good on its own, but Meta Knight actually has recovery tools that allow him to go underneath the stage like Final Destination. He can glide with his up special, which means he can be in the air for an extremely long time, as glides were at their peak in Brawl. And you might be thinking, so what? It's Brawl, a lot of characters have busted recoveries. Well, Meta Knight's is so busted, he can come back on stage from extremely low depths, and he can just choose not to approach. If you think about it, if you have 5 jumps and the whole stage is your oyster, why even approach characters who can't approach Meta Knight? Just get the percent lead and just do your thing. This affected things like even the Ice Climbers matchup, who is literally the second best character in Brawl because the Ice Climbers can essentially chain grab the whole cast. Yes, the Ice Climbers are more busted than the melee version of the character, but even this version of the character has trouble reaching Meta Knight because Meta Knight can just run away and camp them. So what I'm trying to hammer home here is the second best character in all of Brawl that is also in their own tier, in the S tier, gets camped by Meta Knight because he has multiple jumps and recovery options that just kind of beat their game plan. That says a lot about how strong he is. Imagine the low tiers in Brawl. What is Mario gonna do against Meta Knight? What is Captain Falcon going to do? You get it. This led to most players just trying to projectile camp Meta Knight and play defensively on their own and just wait for them to get back on stage and mess up. Or the opponent can just try to camp on their own, and I'm sure that's going to make the most entertaining gameplay possible, right? That was sarcasm. He has fast moves that come out extremely quickly, like his own smash attacks, especially his down smash and forward smash. Some of these moves are so quick you can't even punish them because they don't have a lot of end lag at all. So even if you miss with them, you can just go for them again. His tilts give him Marth-esque range with things like down tilt, which, fun fact, has a 30% chance of tripping opponents. Even Meta Knight's mediocre tilts like up tilt can be used. His throws give him a variety of options, like his down throw that does the second most amount of damage a throw can do in the game, and Meta Knight can set up combos with it. His aerials are in line with his level of brokenness, coming out extremely early, like his up air, which comes out at frame 2, and you can actually spam this move over and over and over again. Just wow. Man, is this cool. Look at him just camping the ledge. Oh dear god. You can even use this as a combo tool at 0% and just spam up airs until you take the opponent to the top blast zone and kill them with Tornado. This move is actually the fastest move to help him escape hit stun in the game, which significantly is going to improve Meta Knight's survivability. Back air and forward air are spacing tools used for keeping opponents away. Nair comes out extremely fast and it even kills. It's incredible for edge guarding and out of shield. And then there's down air, which is just as busted as his other aerials, as he can spam this move off stage and gimp super easily with this move. And because Meta Knight's recovery is so good, this move is just complemented by that a lot. His special moves I mentioned being broken as far as recovery tools go, but what if I told you they were just as strong in the KO department? Shuttle Loop is a premier KO tool because it literally, pause for a minute, buckle the in. it's invincible. Yes, you cannot hit Meta Knight during the startup of this attack. A literal attack will not phase him. So if you try to hit him while the initial invincibility is out, it won't work and it will lead to you getting hit. You can of course do this move out of shield. Many people feel that this is one of the best out of shield options that a character has had in all of Smash. Tornado, this is Meta Knight Shield Depleter 101. If someone is spamming shield on you, just use Tornado and it will quickly deplete their shield. And because this move is so safe, you can have a lot of mobility while using it, so you can freely punish the shield and then escape. You can even kill with it too if the opponent is close to the blast zone, so this move has a lot of utility. And Meta Knight's weakest special move still finds a way to be broken, as there was a bug that was quickly figured out that actually makes Meta Knight teleport indefinitely till the end of time. Yeah, this was quickly banned. Obviously, just wow. I'm honestly speechless. Even small things like his spot dodge were better than a majority of the cast's own spot dodge. Meta Knight was a character, whether you wanted to play aggressively or just kill with a couple hits with Meta Knight, you could do that. Or if you just wanted to hold back and just camp, play defensively and time out opponents, Meta Knight can do that too. If Meta Knight gets the lead, he's one of the most difficult characters to try to get that lead back on because his crazy amount of positives, making this one of the most infamous broken characters in all of Smash. To be real, we could have talked about Meta Knight in Brawl for hours, as there's just so much jank that this character can do. But this is the best way to distill it down to really tie this together. Meta Knight, pun intended, was the meta in Brawl. This was his playground, and you were either with him or against him. A question people have about Meta Knight all the time in Project Plus is, gee, why is he still the best character in this game? Is he still broken? What went wrong? The answer is no. Meta Knight is not busted again. He's one of the more infamous busted characters in Smash. They obviously don't want to repeat that. Meta Knight was nerfed heavily compared to the Brawl version, but definitely far from unviable. He's still good. It's important to note that Project M and Project Plus's casts were normalized, so most characters are going to be viable in tournaments and the roster is extremely close viability-wise. Him being the best of the best does show that yes, he's still a top level threat, because if you're at the top of PM's tier list, it means you're obviously a great character. But was he nerfed from Brawl? Of course he was. They pulled back the level of brokenness that the character was known for, but not completely gutting him either. In fact, Meta Knight is still mostly inspired by the Brawl version of the character with some new attacks and differences too. If you liked him previously, you're probably gonna like him again, so stick around for the differences. Meta Knight is still a beast in Project M, just this time he's a little bit more closer to earth with the rest of the cast. First of all, if you like fast characters with insane frame data, the general consensus is Meta Knight's frame data is actually the best in the game. It's quick, he has low startup and end lag, and he can start combos with ease. He can set up conversions, like with his back throw and down throw, and his smash attacks have low startup, making them great combo finishers, again similar to Brawl. One of the big changes was changing up some of the attacks that were maybe a little more weaker, and increasing their KO power, like back air, down air, and now even down special that has a brand new mechanic that we'll go over later. His recovery was heavily nerfed compared to the busted Brawl version of the character. However, it's still very good in PM. Here's reverse shuttle looping, which can do this. It's crazy, although just a bit more flawed in some areas. One of the biggest nerfs right off the bat was reducing his jump amount from 5 mid-air jumps to 3. I definitely agree with this change, as it nerfs his recovery and ability to do aerial mix-ups, but having 3 jumps is still good nonetheless. A majority of Meta Knight's attacks lost their transcendent property, so this means if Meta Knight clanks with other hitboxes, Meta Knight is not automatically going to win anymore. They significantly increased his fall speed by making him a fast faller, so this made Meta Knight kind of like a melee character in a way, which I think is a neat change because it changes how Meta Knight feels, especially compared to Brawl's floaty engine. However, him becoming a fast faller means Meta Knight is going to be combo food now, so there's positives and negatives a bit with this change. They nerfed his air dodge and spot dodge, as they were really good for no reason in Brawl. His air dodge more specifically comes out of frame later and doesn't last nearly as long, and his spot dodge has a shorter duration with more end lag. They gave Meta Knight a wave dash and dash dance, and I would say his dash dance is actually very good, as Meta Knight is still a fast character and this complements him a lot. But his wave dash is is definitely a little more flawed. It doesn't cover a lot of distance. This is because they actually increased his traction slightly. So this does buff his ability to punish out of shield, but in turn this gives him a short wave dash. Glides across the board in Project M got significantly nerfed, and this is completely warranted as other characters have received a similar nerf in this vein too. Tornado's recovery potential was significantly toned down, losing a lot of its acceleration, deceleration, and overall duration. It's easier to edgeguard as it loses its priority as well. Drill Rush lost its small jump that it would do near the end of the attack, reducing its recovery, and they also limit its ability to be angled too. Dimensional Cape's invincibility frames have more startup, Grounded Shuttle Loop has less knockback and smaller hitboxes, as well as the aerial version being harder to connect with, and it no longer auto sweet spots the ledge. He can't jab lock opponents anymore, plenty of Meta Knight's attacks have increased startup and end lag, and whether it's forward smash, down tilt, dash attack, they got nerfed. Up smash has smaller hitboxes, down smash has less knockback growth. They nerfed his grab game by increasing the startup on standing and pivot grab, and his aerials in general were toned down with increases to startup and end lag. Up throw also received a KO power nerf, down throw got increased end lag and a damage nerf, and its knockback was increased. It's still a decent throw for comboing and tech chasing, especially at low percents, and you can even do chain grabs on a few characters with it. As far as buffs go, Meta Knight's airspeed was increased, dash speed was buffed, his jump squat is faster by a frame. This is actually a huge change. Sure, the amount of jumps was nerfed, but he can actually jump higher in the air. As far as brand new things Meta Knight was given, one of the biggest changes was the majority of his aerials, like forward air. It does much less knockback, however, you can use this as an approaching tool, wall of painting tool, as the move has less end lag and a longer duration. Up air has reduced knockback growth, but honestly this move was too good in Brawl, so it's still actually very consistent for covering platforms even in PM and starting combos, so even a nerfed version of this move is actually very good. Nair was tweaked to a harder hitting attack with increased range and longer duration, and they balanced it out though by giving it more end lag. Back air was changed heavily as this move has less end lag with a damage buff, while having the decreased knockback growth and startup compared to the Brawl version. Personally, I love this change as this move is now a great edge guarding tool. And then there's down air. It's a brand new attack that is great for rushing down the opponent. Its knockback is higher than the Brawl version of down air, but because it's harder hitting, that means it does have some startup and end lag. In earlier updates of PM, Project M Meta Knight's down air was actually completely different. During Project M 3.5, Meta Knight had a dive kick that was a reference to the boss fights in the Kirby games. I've made a video showing how busted this attack was in the past. For those who don't know, this dive kick worked extremely well with Meta Knight's multiple jumps. That means you could run away and refresh your jumps quickly by dive kicking back on stage and running away again. It essentially promoted camping and was way too strong. Even when they tried to nerf it, they quickly realized the tool on its own was way too broken for Meta Knight, so they removed it and changed it to what it is now. One of my favorite changes was to down special. They added a new mechanic where you could flick the C-stick while teleporting. You do a quick slash attack that deals 14%, and it's really beefy. This move is a strong KO tool, and its knockback is not something to scoff at. If you manage to link it together, the move is super rewarding, and it's a good combo finisher, so go crazy with this one. Meta Knight is the best in Project Plus as of right now. He does have some flaws. Right off the bat, his KO power leaves a lot to be desired, and I mentioned how he does have stronger KO options in PM. However, they have poor amounts of range, and some of his stronger moves are pretty risky to use. Meta Knight has trouble cleaning out the stock, so he has arthritis at times. As I mentioned earlier, being a fast faller means he's bullied a bit on stage or off stage. He's going to fall like a rock. He's susceptible against characters who try to camp him because his moves don't have the best amount of range even with the sword. Like, it is nice he has a sword, it's not the most disjointed sword in the game though anymore. Despite all of this, Meta Knight is a glass cannon character, someone who can deal damage and be effective aggressively, however, he can be punished very hard. This is also mainly because Meta Knight is extremely light in PM, so he can die early because of this. There is a debate if really Meta Knight in Project Plus is truly the best character in the game. While Meta Knight's frame data is amazing. Some people think the character doesn't have enough results to back up the character. There's clearly lower tiered Project M characters who have won more majors than him. Whatever side of the fence you land on, he's still great, and I recommend you at least checking him out. Thank you guys for watching the video. There's early content always available on Patreon, so if you guys want to support the channel in any way or get any videos early, join the channel memberships or Patreon down below to get the videos early before everyone else. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Take care.